Hello everyone and welcome. Make a cup of your favorite drink and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for new stories from Yellow Cat. Send your own stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. Let's get started. What's the silliest mistake you've seen a bad coworker make? Part 2. Getting 50 pizzas for lunch for the sales floor and stealing a customer's credit card information. Because of this, I believe they have a record of felonious speed running. When providing remote technical support for a client, someone from a different call center campaign connected to our client rolled back a PC that had Windows 7 Ultimate installed for some reason. Rewind to Windows Vista. How? We're still not sure, but my best guess is that the computer itself devolved due to their incompetence in tech support as a result of their pain. If not, it would be the customer of mine at my metal shop who we purposefully avoided around for security. They led to a number of incidents, such as the time they used a metal scribe with its hooked end to extract a bolt piece from a propeller without wearing a face shield, and as a result they stabbed themselves in the face by pulling forcefully on the scribe when it became stuck. I would enumerate everything I can remember them doing, but there are just too many adjectives to express such blatant ignorance. I also know of someone who, while security forces were watching via a camera feed, had them laughing heartily as they proceeded to jack up an entire maintenance crew because someone had noticed a big red button, pressing the large red button multiple times. Afterwards, when they approached their supervisor to inquire about the function of the large red button, their supervisor replied, "Don't push that, it's the under duress button." This was a facility for nuclear weapons. The joke, "Don't push the big red button," is well known to everyone. When I signed up and people realized what my specialty was, regardless of how little they knew about that line of work, they all exclaimed, "Don't push the big red buttons." For F's sake, there are several meme subgenres related to the large red button. Of course, you're referring to someone who, rather than say ratcheting with the ratchet wrench, would use it like a regular wrench due to their extreme incompetence with it. Okay, so indeed. Although I'm still unsure of their ASVAB result, I believe they were being dishonest. My scores in mechanical and electronics were in the mid to high 80s, and even though I was unfamiliar with many of the tools used in structural maintenance in the other specialty, I was still able to use them. Apply a D-ratchet in a D-ratchet-like manner. Took me 5 seconds to teach this inner-city girl who had never used a tool before how to use a ratchet, and she was set to go. However, that pusher of buttons, I firmly believe that there was a top-secret experiment conducted to see whether chimpanzees would behave like humans when given human technology by applying a perception filter. It had to have failed. Miserably. I oversaw a 24-hour restaurant as an AGM. How even should I begin? The first that springs to mind is that my DO asked the host, who is 17 years old, to take out the trash. He said he had no idea how, concluded with him tossing a full garbage bag across the lobby and striking a diner's table. DO lost his job as a result of his rage. When questioned, he stated that he wanted to put it on the counter so he could put on his coat because he thought it was heavier. In either case, robust arms never returned. An older woman was appointed manager of the night. She took a sizable, over $1,000 catering order on her 4th or 5th day of work, did not record it, said nothing at all. I answer the phone in the morning of a big event for a well-known company and inquire about the location of their catering. The order was completed in 3 different locations, but it was 1 hour late. Clients balked at making payments. Following much discussion, the owners agreed to let her continue working as long as she paid for half of the catering, more than $900 personally. She covered the cost, stayed for a month before she had an accident, and left the company. Witnessed a host take a plate off a waiter's tray without alerting the server, causing roughly $90 worth of food to topple over and fall to the ground. I saw a busser attempt to move a rack of mugs and, in a move that defied reason, topple a tower containing about 60 ceramic mugs. We probably removed a dozen or so that weren't damaged in any way. It was not uncommon for plates to break, but the head chef in the kitchen broke one on the counter right in front of the health inspector. The health inspector's black slacks were covered in hollandaise. Broken ceramic shards were dispersed throughout every bin of toppings. Had to discard a large amount of food and spend 20 minutes looking in every crevice for a stray shard. Perhaps the most memorable experience that wasn't directly related to the work itself was hearing one of the teenage hosts tell a squad of cops about his wild party the previous weekend, naming people, places, drinks they took, and cigarettes they smoked. Naturally, he left for the day while the police were wrapping up, and as he did so, an officer pulled him aside. I saw him being led out, patted down, and being placed in the back of a police car, but I was not told what happened next. There was a rumor circulating that he and his friends were involved in a break-in that occurred the evening of his party. Till he showed up at the scene with the other known suspects, he was not on the list of suspects. These stories are the most vivid ones I can recall, but there are a ton more. Worked at Bun Crust Rhyming Bank. An imaging server images PCs and laptops. We usually hook them up on the imaging bench, cross-check the SNs with the computers, and log into the imaging server to image them. We had this tech, I'm being nice. He just learned to walk upright and was sent from the building across the river to help for the day, who didn't understand how to image a computer after 10 explanations. The imaging software GUI lists networked computers. Find the computers you want and drag its icon to the deploy image icon. It starts the computer re-image process. Imaging 10 computers at once is easy now that you can stage them. He didn't do that. A network icon appears at the top of the PC list. That icon was dragged to deploy image. This started re-imaging all network computers, like over 40,000. After starting late Friday afternoon, he left. One more thing, not 2 months ago, Bun Crust, in their infinite wisdom, if you want to call it that, hired someone else to handle all the bank's IT needs. As expected, the vendor hired people at half the old staff's pay. Happy to say I found a job in commercial business and kept working for the bank. Someone I know, a contractor who had to help 600 people, not the same guy who messed up, calls me in a panic on Monday morning to say that machines in the building are blowing up and he has no idea why. His boss also claims he can handle it. Love a-hole bosses, not. Since I was the only one who knew how the building's IT systems worked, I asked my boss if I can go down there to investigate. Thankfully, she lets me go down. At the lab, I ask what's happening and learn the PCs are being re-imaged. I log Mike into the imaging server and launch the GUI. It appears 20 machines are being imaged randomly. Lucky for me, I don't know why, but the only machines that are currently sitting are in the building and the building across the street. I stop working and check SNs to see whose computers were hit. The person who used to be the president of the bank and had an office on the 21st floor was hit. All marketing analytics database computers across the street were hit. Other building users. I couldn't stay because I had to return to work. Later, I learned the damage took weeks to repair. Later that same week, the idiot was led across the river to leave the building after he said rude things to a female worker. What kind of negative experience have you had with a homeowners association or bad neighbors? Part 2. My 2-story condo experienced what was referred to as a catastrophic event when the pipes burst and flooded both floors. Since they were both present to assist me in turning off the water, the HOA president and vice president were fully aware of the damage. Even more, you're gonna get a whole new condo, said the HOA president. I emailed the property management company some photos. It's their responsibility to get in touch with insurance and handle the process of fixing HOA responsible items. When I follow up after a few days and still don't hear back, our property manager informs me that the insurance company hasn't been contacted because the damage was insufficient to cover the deductible. $10,000 was their deductible. The total cost of the damage was far higher than $100,000. I show him the pictures once more, but nothing happens. After about a week, my insurance adjuster is visited, but the condo insurance has not yet provided anything. I have copies of the policy with the contact information for the broker who sold the property management company the master policy, which covers several complexes, but I'm still not hearing back. When I called him to escalate the situation, he said he had not heard of it and he would see to it that something was done right away. The quality of a property management company for condo associations is something I have never encountered, but homeowners associations are only as good as their board members. For the most part, every condo owner I know has had terrible experiences with their property management firm. They are, in my opinion, thieves who only want to do the barest minimum to keep receiving the monthly association dues. It'll take years and thousands of dollars in legal fees for some of my friends' associations to recover any of the savings that their property management companies completely stole. Trash cans are only allowed outside during designated hours in our community. After that, they must be put away. We set them up along our little private street where the buildings face one another in front of our garages where the trucks come up. Each building has 3 garages. Because I have 2 cars, I park my cans on the right side of my garage area where a small planter divides it from my neighbor's garage. My garage is on the left end. They best egress/ingress by placing their cans directly next to mine. While not particularly quiet or considerate, the neighbors aren't bad either. In addition, they frequently leave their cans outside for several days. When I leave for work in the morning, I always take mine out, and when I get home, I put them away around 5 o'clock. It's best to do this while one of my 2 cars is out because I have 2. I thus get a letter from the Homeowners Association chastising me for breaking can law. They've previously alerted the entire community, so I emailed them to ask if it was just for me or if it was a community reminder. As it happens, it was meant just for me. They clarified via another email exchange that the infraction was reported to them by overnight security. I went back and asked for evidence, but they were unable to supply it. As you can see, I'm frugal and don't need the full 68-gallon or whatever trash can my neighbors have, so I have a smaller one than theirs. I feel like they thought my neighbors' cans were mine because of where they were positioned. The double standard is seen here. There's been a sort of stool and nightstand by the mailboxes for the past week. I guess they were being offered for grabs. But really, guys, in a time when the little things shouldn't be such a big deal, this HOA is so inconsiderate. All we're trying to do is make ends meet and pay our bills. When we first moved into our condo, our homeowners association HOA was actually quite satisfactory. Since the arrival of that one crazy old bat on the board, however, everything's been going from bad to worse. Everything started at the end of the summer before last. I have a disability. I walk with the assistance of a cane because I suffer from both Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and fibromyalgia. I used to go to the pool to perform hydrotherapy routines as part of my participation in physical therapy. I only occupied a small portion of the pool, so no one I had met seemed to mind that I was there. But after being witnessed doing water therapy by this old bat, everything changed. She gave me the most snide look on her face and told me that I was taking up too much space in the pool, that I was distracting others, and that I was reducing the enjoyment that they were getting from the experience. There's a very large pool, and I'm not a big person. Nevertheless, winter arrived, and I believe that was the end of it. However, I attempted to go to the pool a few weeks ago at the beginning of our vacation, although my husband and I are both teachers, but I was unsuccessful. Our pool fob had inadvertently been turned off. When we called the HOA, they sent us a letter that was nothing but a piece of BS, claiming that we had violated pool rules, when in fact we had never done so. It's absolutely absurd that I'm required to pay for a membership to the Y in order to participate in therapy, despite the fact that the pool is located directly behind our condo, all because of the hatred that one elderly woman harbors for people with disabilities. I called an old friend of mine from my undergraduate days, and we had a pleasant conversation. She's a lawyer who specializes in civil rights. However, she agreed to write a letter, and she stated that she would assist me in finding a full-time attorney in the event that the letter does not go anywhere. Normally, she's only concerned with issues pertaining to discrimination against immigrants and other related issues. She does have a complete expectation that the letter or threat will be able to retrieve my pool fob, and I'm currently inclined to agree with her. Edit. The good news is that my husband and I have been given brand new pool fobs by the HOA, and we have also received a letter of apology from the HOA. The letter basically says, "Please don't sue us, over and over again. Immediately we went to check that they are functioning properly, and they are. The threatening letter that my friend sent was successful. I will not post the letter because it contains a lot of identifying information. However, suffice it to say that it was adequate for the time being. She was always terrifying when she needed to be. The other members of the board were reportedly given a significant impetus to try to get rid of her as a result of this, according to rumors that I've heard from fellow neighborhood gossipers. To all appearances, she has been making their lives a living H as well. Even so, our goal of moving by next year has strengthened, even if she does get her full comeuppance. I don't want to find out if she's vengeful, especially if she doesn't get kicked off the board. Edit 2. There's even more wonderful news. We can confirm that she's been expelled from the board. She also moved out of our neighborhood and put her house up for sale, though I'm not sure exactly what happened. If you want to watch the part 1, click the link here. We're very, very glad to see you all in the comments again. Many, many thanks for your support.